Hey, I didn't know what to call this, so I just called it self-soothing because I've spent like more than 3 hours on the phone with this cool lady who's like a friend. She's an Aries. She's like very invigorating, but she used the term self-soothing. She's often the voice of wisdom, but she sometimes it feels like friends are. They're the only people that get you. But I had an awesome day. It was so sunny. It was beautiful. Um, I felt like I What I'm having is this reaction where, with trauma, I feel a lot of trauma, and then I try to talk it out, and people are like, "Oh, not that one again." It's like, stop me if you've heard this one before, and that trauma becomes very repetitive. So of course, I feel very traumatized by the homeless situation in Astoria, and then I was thinking, well, maybe I can all talk it out on like a stream. It's like some late night. Somebody will see it. One person will see it, but like, how would that help me, or could I get it all off my chest on a video blog to the point that it would no longer perplex me or bug me? And I was thinking, well, how can I make it a positive or put a spin? And then I would think, well, how it should have gone. For one thing, I was aiming for recognition and reward because I was thinking I should try to encapture what it was in my mindset at the time. Um, I thought I would be recognized as hardworking, as enterprising, as wow, you like go so above and beyond. And some people actually Dave, the canner Dave, he was like, "You are an angel to this community," because I was constantly like running around doing little insignificant things that made a difference. And that process of doing so many small things that are unrecognized, it seemed to be like a specialty. It seemed to be like very short attention span. I need a phone charger, or I need a toothbrush, or I need this, or watch my bag, or I need water. And so like doing like small tasks to make the experience of homelessness mitigated. It was so strange when Kirk Wintermute came out at me with this like grandiose conspiracy that Ozark had this like aggression towards me. Because if anything, when I was going above and beyond to try to do more and like help more, I expected some tide to turn of the negativity because going to Filling Bellies when I started going in late October 21, after like going a little bit in like February, March, April, May 2021, but then like going very late in February and just being like, they got weird with George. Ozark got weird with George. I thought the reason why Ozark was weird with George was because he had a crush on me. So I'm like, okay, so you're trying to get rid of the guy so you can make a move on me. This is making me feel sketched, okay? You coming at my guy all aggro. So, plus he's giving me all these weird looks. Then some of those looks were like aggressive looking. Then I heard him talking like inappropriate stuff, and I was like, oh, when that girl Erin comes back from her baby break, I need to like talk to her about like who is this guy and what's his deal. I thought honestly his jokes were so juvenile. I thought he was like just not even really aware. I don't know. I had no idea. Um, but when I came back, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to check this out. And then it was like instantly uncomfortable. Like the very first day, Erin Carlson, who seems to run the show at the Beacon Clubhouse, she's like having George sign up. I will not have a weird incident. Like I will not have a psychotic moment or whatever. And then she's sort of chewing me out about his behavior, and I'm all like, okay, so like he's his own person. Like let him be responsible for his behavior, and like why are you chewing me out? Um, And then I'm explaining, like, I don't feel safe in this type of facility without like a guy friend to kind of protect me from your mental health patients or whatever you're doing here with all these homeless and mental health people. And so you like eliminate my security system, you like make me feel unsafe, okay? So I come here like with my friend and we are like each other's protection service. That's what friends do. And that you like come at him and then like try to separate us off and whatever. So somebody is shrieking and there's this big booming echo chamber because it's basically a tile staircase, a tile storage room, and then the back is this like square circular like boxy circle of a staircase up to these restrooms, which they converted the men's restroom into a women's and men's, and they converted the women's restroom into women's and men's for the mental health people. So all the mental health people have to go to the restroom with both genders in 3 stalls, and all the homeless people are supposed to go to the same bathroom with 3 stalls. And then they ripped off the outer door because I guess everybody was shooting up or something. And I'm like, you know, okay, and like the doors don't lock, so the women get walked in on, but they are better sturdy doors, and it's just slick tile. And the homeless don't have a mirror, whereas the mental health people do have mirrors. And if you don't know where you are, which if you're like brand new to town, okay, I just showed up at the homeless day center. You don't know if you're in Beacon or in Filling Belly. Like the signs are meaningless, the words are meaningless, and like that, going through your whole life having male female restrooms and then suddenly having unisex but the upstairs people with this, it just makes no sense. So then the Beacon Clubhouse people have to go through this like paperboard door that George nailed his umbrella through on accident when he was having a panic attack because the architecture is frightful. And they're trying to call it a fire door, or like Garth has been working on fireproofing it, and the permit got denied for that. They want to put a shower right inside this like slick kind of storage lobby that they make into, I call it the pit, but it's the downstairs basement down the treacherous staircase where the guy who was dragged up this staircase, I saw his girlfriend today and she's like pregnant, and he's actually working and doing better and not on drugs and not overdosing and not doing the crimes and stuff. And he has a baby with the cop down in Seaside, a really pretty redhead one. But so anyway, so when I'm like, okay, the COVID is shutting down the shelter. Nobody's just opening the shelters. Just like 10 days more shelter. January, just freeze. This is Astoria. So everybody thinks there's a shelter because there's a Facebook of a shelter. But if you look on the shelter every day, they're like, we are not open. We're all sick as hell. So I'm like, okay. And then Ozark Place is still open. That's Day Center, which is down this pit. So it's only available if you don't have a wheelchair. So you have to be like sliding down the staircase or tripping down the staircase or slipping down the staircase. And not disability friendly at all. It's just like a problem from the get-go, right? It was like, how do you even go into? And then I'm just like, well, let me see what they're doing. Like, let me just. This is a very serious concern, but let me see what they're doing. And I was so sick so sick I couldn't interact with anyone. I was gonna get like just massive like green phlegm. So I'm like, I had been asked by Aaron Carlson to go volunteer in the clothing room. I'd cleaned the staircases. They were filthy. Like, they were so filthy that I think Ozark got really weirded out that I was cleaning them. Because when you clean stuff, you notice how dirty they are. It was like, you are walking up and down the staircase with plates of food. You're just like, filthy staircase, okay? Like, I was on my hands and knees, like, wiping it, cleaning it, brought my own towels, my own, like, really nice bubble bath, baby bubble bath. And it smelled fresh, and they're like, wow, it smells so good. And I brought continued to bring more of that stuff. And then they like show me where all the keys are to get to the mop closet, and like you have to unlock this door to get to this door to unlock this door to get to this door to unlock the bathroom. And it was all very like prisony feeling. And even like, so being upstairs, it would be like mom with a baby, and my mom's already told me, don't be friendly with people's babies, especially if they're new parents that've never had a baby before, like Ozark. They go crazy if you get anywhere near their baby. So don't talk to the baby, don't ask to touch their baby, don't anything. And I'm so like, I get it. This is like the baby safe zone. But of course, the baby like likes us, the people. And one day I'm like drawing, and Aaron is like able to let me show my drawings to the baby. And the baby's like gets my like, it's like basically red flowers or something. I'm like doing all these red flowers. And it's so sad that they discriminate against me now, but because I guess I was looking forward to art supplies, but when they moved into the smaller space, they went from the huge space to really condensed space. So I'm like, I'm claustrophobic. There's all this traffic and deliveries, and do you have a pair of shoes? And knock knock. And they had this horrible doorbell that'd be like ding dong, ding dong. And so you're like constantly getting all this chaos. And then the open kitchen. Another thing is just being vegan. I don't want to smell meat. So whenever they'd be cooking meat, I'd be like, ah, gross. Like it just smells atrocious. And then they would kind of be like, all right, well, you're vegan. Do you want to eat? Or like and I'd be like, I'm okay. Or like they'd be like, oh, well, this is vegan. Or then one day they like handed me all this wilted spinach, and I was like, they were like, can you wash this for the salad? Or like, can you sort this? It was sort. Because Clarence told me they don't wash the vegetables. And he was like, dude, you gotta wash the vegetables. And like everyone's like, no wonder you're getting sick. But like, I hope Ozark washes the vegetables. Ozark, if you're watching, wash the vegetables. Um, Basic dude. So like, Clarence is like, I have experience as a chef. He didn't know what that was. Clarence is Teresa Rayford's cousin, y'all. Just like, I'm gonna brag. I'm gonna own it. Like, freaking like, Clarence is so cool. He is so cool. He's so Pisces cool. And so like, I guess the battery would like die on this laptop before I ever got the whole story out. So like during this COVID spell, I have to go into Portland to get my stupid teeth drilled on and evaluated, and I get so sick, and there's a snowstorm, and I get stuck there, and it's just like dreadful. But I'm pained by how close I'm feeling to the homeless, because I stopped hanging at Beacon. I went down into the pit because the chairs are hard, the tables are drab, the walls are drab. I brought like one picture to hang on the wall, and like they proudly were willing to hang it because it's like maybe they don't have money for art, or they don't have the realization that putting people in a sensory deprivation tank is going to create bad behavior. You have to do something to spruce it up. And I've been sitting down in the homeless pit, and then I'll go up to the bathroom or get some coffee because they have better coffee, or they have coffee up there. Because I was like a dual, like I could go to the low income place, but I could also go to the upstairs place because I was like a dual. And that itself made me like a weird citizen, because I'd hear the homeless people complaining all the time about the Beacon structure because they feel, why do you have couches? Why do you have art supplies? Why do we have sensory deprivation? And that hurt me immediately. I was like, oh, wow. So you're just going to have this elitist thing upstairs and then be really putting the homeless downstairs. So I'll just go sit down with the homeless in solidarity because this doesn't feel right. You think it's good enough for them? Fine, it's good enough for me. So it was kind of this like solidarity thing, but then it was also a being present for the women. I was being present to just hold space and say, hey, like, let's make this place safe. So when all these weird things would happen, like the day Christian was going to attack Brian, maybe he's also known as Jason, like Christian, I just like zoomed straight up into it and I'm like, have you knitting, blah, blah, blah. And so later I run into Christian and he's like, or is it Christian? I think, well, somehow I found out from one or the other of them that he's like, oh, I found him at the DHS and I dropped him. So I was like, oh, okay. So I broke up the fight for a little while, but then the fight moved off territory, and that's, better than nothing. Or then one day Roy throws a sea kayak, and it's right as they're taking pictures, and I go like, that's inappropriate. And Ozark was walking by, and he kind of like, I think he kind of actually deferred to my sense of leadership or authority, as a sea kayak is inappropriate. And Royce had been pulling his Hitler mustache for a while. I later found out that Roy calls Ozark's game the Hunger Games because of the way Ozark skips over the meals for people. It's like, no food for you, no food for you. Hold up. Anyway, so when Ozark decided it was like, oh, she's trying to solicit donations in our name. Here's the thing. I called them and said, there's a day center, there's a night center, and they're the people kicked out of one or the other or both. I'm willing to get the clothing to the people kicked out of the day center, kicked out of Ozark's, kicked out of Teresa's shelter, or kicked out of both of them. Or I'm willing to help get the clothing to the day center if you choose to donate to them, or the night center if you choose to donate to them. So those are three options: the people falling through the cracks, or the people in the day, or the people in the night. And alerting them to the fact that there are people kicked out of the night shelter and the day shelter is a way of snitching on the donors that these nonprofits are missing. There are people falling through the cracks, people they call service resistant. Oh yeah, they're so service resistant. No, the services are resistant to their clients. Ozark is resistant to helping the poorest of the poor and the truly low barrier people he claims to help. And so he's like, oh, you're trying to solicit donations in my name. I'm like, no, I'm trying to give your number in case anybody wants to donate to you. But if they want to donate to you while you kick people out and are unfair and about those donations, that's kind of actually a worse crime if you think about it. It's like snitching on your unfairness to your donors. So like, get your story straight. But since he confabulates things that he doesn't know because he wasn't there and he just is sort of piecing together a paranoid conspiracy, there's always paranoia over there. You go over there, like, the whole neighborhood's against us. I can't take the Facebook. I locked my Facebook down. And I'm like the days she's telling me, like, he's getting abortion. His girlfriends always get abortions, so I'm just going to have his kid. I'm like, that's not professional. I don't want to know about his partner's abortions. I don't want you to abortion shame his partners. And that's no reason to have his kid, like, just because other chicks don't want to have his kid. I don't know, like, what you're trying to tell me, but it doesn't feel good. It put me in a weird position. So, like, when I was like, hey, Aaron, what's Sarah trying to say to me, like, corner me? And, like, she's like, I know you're not like that. Like, people are going to get pizza. I'm like, you miss Lexus driving rich girl are worried that somebody got some free pizza, guess what? They are filling their belly. And you can't trademark belly and you can't trademark filling a belly. They're filling their belly. Like, to me, this is like when people try to like capitalize on Occupy, capitalize on Anonymous, capitalize on Food Not Bombs. No, it, to me, filling bellies is a concept. It is a concept of feeding the hungry. And basically trying to put themselves as this salaried authority figure through which everything is to bottleneck, that's completely wrong. And like, my friend was like, I'm like, I have a phone, I have a voice, I have a mind, I have an internet connection, I can call people. If I want to call and raise donations for the homeless, I don't need Ozark's permission. But he literally he treats his clients like they're cult members. Like, you're in my cult, now you have to like kiss my feet and do Mother May I control freak games with me. And I was like, I get it. You have OCD, me too. Like, we all have OCD, but how does your OCD conflict with mine? And how can I guess what your OCD is going to be? Because it's all so arbitrary what you're going to freak out about. And this walking around eggshells with him when, okay, so Sierra is just like, okay, so he says blue balls to the homeless. Here's how I heard it too. I heard Lucy was saying when Ozark comes down, is like, hey, you want to suck on these blue balls, ladies? As he's handing out blue chocolates wrapped in blue wrappers, or chocolate wrapped in blue wrappers. Lucy says she stood up against it, and she's like, Ozark, that's not professional, or that's inappropriate. That's not funny. Clarence verified it. Sierra verified it. Corey verified it. Jules says he says inappropriate stuff all the time. Corey says he says even worse things when it's only boys. Corey, who he supported for, Corey's like, I put my hand around your throat, restraining order, like, hearing. I'm like, so Lifeboat supports putting your hand around a woman's throat? I'm confused. You support Monkey. Monkey, wow. It's the least of my worries. I kind of like Monkey. I hope he keeps doing better. But like, oh my god. Oh my god. This hoodie's so dope. It's like the coolest thing I ever had, I think, except for maybe that Pac-Man hat in like 2012. That was the coolest hat ever. That was like, it was a trucker hat with like a glued on Pac-Man video game, like on the bar, and it was all made of like constructed felt and looked really digital. So I'm self-soothing by telling you the whole boring story again. So I actually found an old video I made in the Occupy era where I was talking about the people that stole all the food and would not give me vegan food. And I sound like a total, like, talking a mile a minute. I'm like, how much coffee did it take to sound that wired, girl? So I'm like, they won't give me any food. I'm only eating tomatoes today. And I'm like busy upload. And then I'm actually realizing I really gotta get some real cameras because this working off a cell phone is just a joke. I'm not really very serious about making film these days, and I'm not that serious. I'm just too lazy. I don't really care. But anyway, I probably should get some real cameras because I could do a bunch of stuff if I had like good memory cards and maybe like a camera with some decent resolution. Is that so hard to ask? I had a good camera once, evidently, because I have things that look good from 10 years ago. But anyway, so like, here's the things that I know would possibly irritate Ozark. He's like, I'm going to close down for a week. So I bring my kitchen cupboard. I just lay down the snacks. First time I lay down snacks, I bring like a box of energy bars. And I'm like, can I do this? I think I'm mad at me. I put them down. Then it's like 45 seconds. Boom, they're all gone. I see people just slam the energy bars into their pockets. And I'm like, these people are hungry. They get hungry after this facility closes. So it's cool they get their little lunch, a little plate of food, but they're still hungry. So there's kind of an unlimited need to feed people. So I would bring food to the sidewalk, bring food down like put it out or share it around or pass it around. And so I knew, oh my, so even Matt Williams told me, he's like, I was just like, is Mary bringing food down here again? Because like he would say, well, if you give food to so and so, you're kicked out for life. And I'm like, how can I keep a list of all the people you hate in my brain? Because I don't hate anybody. Ever think of that? You're supposedly low barrier, but you're not low barrier because you're constantly picking and choosing who you want to feed and who you want to starve. And you're picking on the littlest guy. So the thing that I get into sadness about, for which I need to self-soothe, is why won't any of my friends stand up for me? Why do I have to be this strong to take it? I mean, Maria's like, you need to be in a bigger city. You could have more fun and go do more stuff and not have to run into the same scene all the time. And is it that I'm stubborn? Or is it that it is my issue? But like, why is it? I mean, okay, so I had my bully interview. This investigation could go on another year. Garth is like, you're gonna get stabbed. And today I ran into Jeff Daly's friend Chad, and I was like, did you hear Garth says I could be stabbed? And he's like, no, I gotta go to sign. You can be stabbed. It's like, this is not inclusion. This is not equity at all. It's not treating me like I have a right to intrinsic dignity. Running around saying I can get stabbed, it's a barbarian, misogynistic. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I could get stabbed. Like Anna Lind in Nordiska Company. But I think, okay, sometimes I console myself because I'm like, well, none of these dudes have the courage to stand up to Ozark. So yeah, you're going to come at me like I could be stabbed. And I'm like, yeah, but all of you cowards are basically kissing up to him while he treats people shabby. And you don't care that he treats me shabby or Vanessa shabby or Patty shabby. You don't care. Or Sierra. Nobody, you don't care. So the men who abandon their sisters, where are the men who stand up for their sisters? Can't find any. Not a single man in Astoria is going to stand up for their sisters against Ozark's tyrannical, discriminatory treatment. So I have this like 90-minute interview on the phone. I could tell the interviewer was just like getting exasperated talking to me. I wasn't trying to wear him out, but it has got my like brain ticking. So I was like, whoa, I just like picked open a wound, like pulled the scab off that. That is so traumatizing that this man thinks low-income people should take zero food. He should take $50,000 a year out of the pocket of the taxpayer, and his chick can have $50,000 too. So I don't know if they have separate bank accounts or whatever. So $100K for them. She's already rich, okay? Now you're making cash cow off the homeless, and you only want really docile, submissive ones. And anybody who acts up and doesn't like the harassment gets like banished or whatever. Oh, and threatened. Yeah. I should have put her in jail for trying to fundraise clothing. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Nobody's trying to put you in jail for trying to help the homeless. What are you talking about? It makes no sense, except that he's a career burglar. I'm like, dude, respected career burglars, Robin Hood and all that. But like, no, like, don't throw heavy-handed police state criminal. But the thing is Ozark is known for snitching on people that didn't do it. That's his street reputation, is he's like some weird liar super snitch. So that whole like, I'm gonna twist everything upside down to get my own way, I don't know. I think he needs to come clean. And I'm glad they're doing smart recovery. I think that's partly because I pushed it. Like pushed the whole thing of like, how can you have this much drug culture all under one roof and like not making any safe space for anyone to like breathe, that they're not being bombarded with like meth and marijuana and drinking and scrounging money and all this selling stuff. Now fentanyl. So like, It occurred to me Christina's wound last summer might have been a trank wound. From what I'm seeing of these trank wounds, and Nathan has some wounds, and I'm like, dude, Nathan, you know they're lacing your fentanyl, right? Griffin's like, you know, Mary, I used to like you, but I don't like you anymore because all you do is talk shit. And then like that, he like ran away like he was gonna cry, and then like he's so sensitive Gemini boy, and then it, like next time he sees like, hey. Like we're like, so are we back on hey basis or whatever? I zero accountability. That's all they're asking for. It's not that big a request. Yeah, but like so progress, like so when Aaron made him strap the baby onto the little like baby buggy thing and be like, I owe everything to Aaron and I have PTSD and I had it beaten into me. I was like, okay, so cool. Like you're admitting you're not perfect exactly, or like you got some issues. Like maybe that's why you walk around making like dirty jokes nobody wants to hear. So he like rides past me and I'm like standing there with Steven on the corner. Just I always feel better in my sunglasses because I feel like I look cool and not as dorky and on a pretty day. And like with the best looking guy in town, just like it's like chill. Like, he drives by and on his little like motorized tricycle, this cute kid from Montana or something was calling it. It's like he's a grown man in a motor who rides a tricycle because he's got too many DUIs and can never get a license or something. But like he's riding by and he's doing his like like weird little snickery smirky shit, and I'm like, chillax, dude. But the thing is like if you don't, this is a weird thing. If you do not hold anyone accountable, they will never have any self-respect. So when you hold people accountable, you are actually showing them a huge amount of respect. And this weird mind game that goes on where people saying, no accountability, that's fun. I just get to do whatever. And then you hold them accountable. They're like, how dare you hold me accountable? But then they're like, they get their game up and they improve. Like, I hope that there are positive improvements. And when you call me predatory, that's really been haunting me because I realize, like, in the Me Too generation, to have like men telling a domestic violence agency that you, the woman, are predatory, that's so gamey of like men taking the last remaining shred of safety a woman has. This is a man who's put you on a starvation diet, denied you resources and clothing and food for a year, stolen all the resources from the people that actually need it, and then now he's calling you predatory for trying to get a basic need met and saying, I mean, like, predatory, people think sexual predator, people think a danger to children or danger. And he's tried to frame this over and over again. He's like, you're talking to our vulnerable clients. And I'm like, they're all my friends. You're the one who's sexually harassing them. So, like, but this whole, like, I've got to, like, push it back on her because how dare she question my right to, like, get away with being pervy to the homeless women. And like honestly, poor Erin, she stormed into the swimming pool this morning. So I had to see both Erin and Ozark. I almost never see her. I've like seen her like barely twice in the last year. And she's like, and this is the pool with the water, and like doing this like, and you know the cold, and like I was like, you don't have to explain the pool to you. Like they're not morons, and they're like, I just realized I needed to get out of her way because if I'm really a predatory, like she lets her little boy friend slash husband or whatever he is spread lies and defamation about me. Like I mean, I've even thought of like, should I have the predatory podcast, or how do I like capitalize on Ozark? She's a predator. Ozark Iraq. Like it could be like on. Maybe that should be on the book jacket. I mean, I did check in on Eugene Carroll's Hideous Men article. Who got my Twitter account suspended? This makes me so sad. Natalie Bro blocked me. I worshiped the ground she walked on for so long, and then I noticed maybe she was more anti Megan, and I'm like more pro Megan in the Megan Harry world. And like, I was like, mostly she's taught me everything I know about British scumbags. So like, I'm like, I don't have any right to like love you. And maybe she got weirded out on me. Like, who's this wacky American who just wants to retweet me and like chat me up occasionally? But like many times, or not many times, like maybe about 3 times we had positive interaction. Like I just told her I like your profile pic or something. And but anyway, she had blocked me and I didn't know why. And then the thing is, like, Twitter got so dicey, I like had to degender it. So I like became the male, using my grandpa's and dad's picture just to like cut down on all the sexual harassment. But then I'm like realizing, oh my god, am I creeping women out? Because they think I'm not trying to be a male. I'm like, whatever, I don't know. Trans, anything. Such a relief. It's like the best thing that happened to me not being on Twitter. But it could have been Ozark trying to come from my Twitter, because I just had it all splashed up on Twitter too. Because it's good to hit all the platforms. I refuse to do Instagram. Never wanted to. Never even tried. Not once. Everything about it's horrid. My friend does it. Films with Stephen were awesome today. That was really inspiring. I think the talk with Chad actually helped, because it was sort of just like you're stuck in the past. But I think there's something in the future. I could just imagine like, hi, do you think I should be allowed to have a salad? Like, why do you guys get salad and I don't? Because like any of the guys, I've just made little jokes. Like I tried to joke with Keith. I was like, look, I'm on Ozark starvation diet. Are they getting skinnier? Because I think that Ozark has this thing about like women don't get to eat. And it is a triggering thing for eating disorders, that he's like, oh yeah, my rich wife and her Lexus, she can eat all the food donated for the homeless. But you can't. You don't know food for you. So, okay, I watched the horrible Seinfeld thing about soup. That everybody's like, everyone described how the Ozark will be like, pick and choose. You don't get a meal for 1 week. You don't get a meal for a month. You don't get a meal for 2 months. You have to sign a contract to get a meal, and then you get skipped over, and then you'll commit suicide, and then you'll leave town and threaten to commit suicide, and you'll die of hypothermia because I won't give you a jacket, and then your jacket will suck and you'll complain, and this person gets a bigger tent and you get a smaller tent, and your abuser always gets better privileges. This is what domestic abuse victim told me. Ozark always gives better privileges to her abuser, and that's how he flies. If someone has abused you, he will prefer. And then like, ow, why? It's giving me a headache thinking about it. And when he was like, don't come back, I wasn't coming back. I was watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I wasn't going to get punched out by Quentin, Nicole Mackey's cousin. I was not interested in being assaulted by Quentin. Violent, chaotic, autistic, psychotic, otaku, whatever his thing is. Impetuous, rich, impatient, hyperactivity boy. No, I was not going to be assaulted by him. After I saw him assault Dwayne Blair, I dropped off some clothes for Shayna and her mom. I went upstairs and was like politely knitting, because I had already contacted Clubhouse International, who are no longer affiliated with Astoria Clubhouse. I was like, all these disability violations. I've contacted the ADA, like U.S. Department of Justice, Americans with Disability Act, Civil Rights Division, make a report. There's like systemic disability. That was hard. I was sitting at the gym in my favorite machine, checking out the Facebook, and I'm just like, they were doing this whole like bourgeoisie War of the Joneses type thing where they're like going like, we are homeowners and we blah 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 about supporting the homeless. They were basically trying to tell their detractors that no, we're in the bourgeoisie too. Okay, so we are homeowners. And I was like, you are serving the homeless and you are bragging about your home ownership on the Facebook promoting, and this is supposed to compete with your naysayers who are also property owners. And I'm supposed to feel sorry for you that you won't even help the lady in the wheelchair. And now they won't even help me, but they're homeowners, they're homeowners. And they're paying for the mortgage off the donations that are supposed to go to feeding the homeless, but they're actually just going to buy Ozark and Aaron a house fund. I mean, I figured her dad gave her a house, so I don't see why she has to pay for anything. And I was even, at one point, I was just like, oh, and it's so cute. Your mom and dad bought you a nonprofit. Oh, I'll just come. Kind of like if somebody has a party and like nobody shows up to the party, you feel kind of sorry for them. So it's like, I'll come and try to like fill up space. And like one time, Erin is like surrounding me with a glue gun and these like glittery rhinestones, and she's like, "Here's the glue gun into the rhinestones," and I was just like, I don't really. I was like, I'm okay. I'm gonna work on knitting. So knitting became my way of like. At the time, they're trying to get me to wash the rotting spinach, and I was like, I can't. In good or no sort. They wanted me to sort each slime out of the fresher, and I was like, I can't do that right now. Like I was just like, no. But somebody said in Ozark's office he has like no work, no eat on the wall. And it's like, oh. So I noticed that right away. They're always like trying to get, have you done this? What have you done this? Oh, look at how they left without doing anything. So they basically try to get you to work for free. So it's like Maggie's Farm all over again. And you're like, oh, okay. So I like vacuuming. So I vacuumed the first facility, and then I come here, I like do the floors, and then I'm all like, pretty much I realized my function is just like listening to people. People love to tell me everything. So they're telling me everything, and I'd hang out by Corey because maybe that way Ozark wouldn't bully me as much. And then I saw the time Ozark is like pissed at Adam, and I realized it's like the redheaded kid with the tattoos on his face. I was all like, Ozark, you seem to have a pattern. You always pick on the redheaded boys. What's the deal? Like you hate redheads, or you hate boys with red hair, or scared of them, or hate them? Or what's your deal? I don't get it. And so like and he's explaining, anybody gives them food, I'm kicking them out too. They're kicked out. 86th forever. You see it? The police say he can just lie on the street, but he can't come in here and eat. And I'm just like thinking like, dude, you seem like you want to beat him up. So I guess it's better if he doesn't come here, because you seem dangerously angry at him. Like, and then it was like the moment I was like, oh, something's wrong with Ozark. And I was like, oh. And then I just very politely am like, so how do we know who the person is with the tattoo on the face that we're not allowed to give any food? We're not allowed to really? Because I was like bringing up the point that like more than one person could have a tattoo in their face. So we're just supposed to discriminate against all people with face tattoo? Are not allowed to have meals? And like, if we feed anybody with a face tattoo, we might run the risk of the one that's particularly irked you. And a lot of people have multiple names. So it's like Adam or Trax or like street names, like nicknames. Oh my God. And then I'm like, for another thing, who even asks everyone's name? That's really invasive. So for Ozark to start threatening other people, you get denied a meal if you give a piece of food to someone that he hates. Nathan's kicked out, but that's for just flagrantly dealing meth, like openly hawking it, like in Ireland. Apples, love, you want some apples? Meth, you want meth? You want meth? It's like, he's like, hey George, I'll give you some meth if you give her back her phone. And day he's so high he like steals my old junk phone. So I'm like, So Nathan's offering you meth. You're too high to know that your drug dealer's willing to give you free meth. Nathan's so cute. Ooh. I ran into like the chick and she's all like, I'm going to Lifeboat to buy some meth. And she's like, well, you got some fentanyl? And she's like, well, my fentanyl won't kill you because it's fake. She's like, I had just taken Xanax. And yeah, that's what I got into the city council minutes. I got into the minutes. That was my like, welcome to city council. Go buy your meth at Lifeboat. And like, the other day I saw the cops like last weekend that like I was like, oh, he's just on some bad drugs. And then Christina goes, I want some drugs. And I was like, you can get that at Lifeboat. I was like, oh, you can get a good steak at T-Bone. T-Paul's. That's where you can get a good steak. I don't freaking eat dead animals. Okay, so my dumpster. Okay. They're still self-soothing. Okay, they're there. There will be a better nonprofit in the future that won't be down a treacherous staircase. Or it could get worse. That's the thing. It could get worse. That's the thing. Isn't that the thing? Okay. In positive news, I do want to do some dumpster diving documentaries. I really want to like show the dumpster. I'm like really obsessed with dumpster diving right now. It's like my main hobby to the point that I have so much stuff. I don't even want it all. Like, come and get it. I got a lot of it. Free boxes, dumpster diving. People give me things. I help people move. I help people. Like, I help very significant moving out of town things where they just like give me all their stuff. And it's so overwhelming when that happens. And then I'm really whispering. So, like I said to Erin the last time I talked to her, I was like, it's not that big a deal. I think you should rethink this. And like, she's like, well, can I put you on the phone with Ozark? Because she knew I was like, could you keep your crazy psycho dude away from me? Because he's cornering me and like trying to chew me out and corner me in his office. Like, so she knew she would already, she's like, I'll try to limit your interaction with men because I understand. And then I'm like, okay, now you're like giving him full reign to abuse me. So you were gonna limit. So he was walking around disciplined for like a month. Like, I'm not allowed to corner you. And you got me in trouble with my girlfriend. So then when he got to like exert his rage, retaliation, revenge, he'd already been disciplined where he wasn't supposed to corner me. And when maybe this is like giving in to a bad child, she just can't fight it anymore because he's always got to go aggro on his clients. I mean, I was tending to think that she recruits us to get abused to reduce the abuse he does on her. Because if she feeds him enough, he's a monster, and like if she feeds him enough other victims, we become the human shields that are buffering his abusiveness. But I mean, it's no excuse. It's still harvesting people into like the abuse network. I was thinking, well, should I go after CCA or should I go after the Harbor? Because why are they so permissive about this? Why aren't they standing up? Nobody's standing up. Nobody stands up for anything. Maybe that's the thing I have to realize is that humans are very complacent and lazy. They don't stand up for anything. They're like followers. So frustrating. I think I need maybe I need more corruption elsewhere. Give me some more corruption. So the school board president is gone. A bunch of people resigned off their board. The transit district board president, dude, I heard he was a jerk when he was a Costco manager, or arrogant is what the lady said. But he had to resign because the transit district's all screwed up. I think there's some other, and the housing director resigned and is suing. And so then the deputy director resigned. So we got tons of corruption, tons of human failure. humans. I'm getting a headache and I'm getting tired. So I'm going to have to do something about that, drink some tea, get a snack. Oh, and perimenopause or whatever this is, it's horrible. Everyone, you should be nice to women because it's hard to be a woman and have belly fat. This is very hard. This is very hard.